Too, right? Like there's so many things that you can do. And I just think that when it comes to health and fitness and even nutrition, like my son, for example, thank God, I'm so grateful that he can eat any and everything. And he does not stop eating. Oh my gosh, he doesn't stop eating
Wait
all
till
day
teenage
long.
years.
All day long. It's healthy snacks always, which is, well, he has cookies here and there, but healthy snacks always, because I choose to give him that and give him that option. He always chooses healthy over anything. But it's important to find out there's so many things that unfortunately in your younger years as children you're allergic to, you have sensitivities to, and it's important to really exhaust all avenues and really find out what it is so that they can lead a healthier, happier life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even exercise. Like I'm not, don't get me wrong. I want to work out. I want to find the time. That's my next step, the next goal of my life. But I'm more concerned about my son's activity level and fitness level, right? Because he has energy that he needs to get out. And if I don't make those right steps now, then it's just a vicious cycle. My parents didn't make those healthy choices for me, putting me into sports or camps or anything like that. And I want to be able to do that to him to set him up for success later in his life, right?
You know what? That's such a good point, because honestly, I think either it's camp or any sport or dance or whatever it is, some sort of physical activity is so important, and creating that routine as a child. So that way, when you are in your teenagers, young 20s, whatever it is, you already have that sense of exercise in a positive way, and a routine that it's going to be second nature, that you just do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. You picked up the fundamentals, which is really important, right? You have to pick those up as kids because it's very hard to learn this stuff when you're older, right? You're more primed to learn all this stuff. And you probably see this, Amanda, as your son is growing, that they just pick up things really easily, right? They learn, right? And then it's so much easier to do that when you're younger versus older. You also mentioned, Amanda, that you found that you would have liked to be put into sports. Do you think that you have changed the way you look at things since becoming a mother in terms of fitness, health, all that kind of stuff?
I wouldn't necessarily say since becoming a mom. I think since becoming an adult, since I turned, not 18, but maybe 21, when I really turned 21 and I became an adult, I really looked at life very, very differently based on previous experiences. But, you notice things about yourselves. I'm a smoker. I smoke cigarettes. We'll just throw that out there. So there are limitations that I have. I can't run, 5K. That's not happening for me. I can't do a lot of things because of the choices that I made. But yes, being a mom, I look at things very, very differently. I look at what's going to be beneficial that I can do as a role model, but also what's going to be beneficial for my son in the long run. As an early childhood educator, I know that the first 5 years of a child's development in all ways, shapes, and forms are the most fundamental things. That's where they're going to learn everything. You spoil him then, forget it, he's spoiled for life. You put him in soccer, you teach him the fundamentals, how to, choose the healthy options, how to be, a respectful individual, et cetera, et cetera. You are setting him up for success later in life. You're role modeling that. The role models that he has in his life, I'm very fortunate. And anyone who's not a good role model, I put them in their place. But those are the fundamentals of everything, is that first 5 years. You want them to learn anything, you want them to know something, that's the time to do it. Yeah.
You talked about being a role model. Sorry, Lily, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I totally agree with everything she just said there, from, early, learning as a young adult that, I wish I stuck through. Maybe it was gymnastics or soccer or one of the many different sports I tried out, and I quit after a year. I wish my mom was a little bit more tough on me, that tough love. And again, maybe it's just to really figure out what my purpose would have been. Maybe I'm not soccer. If they put me in, I think, offense, I was not.
You weren't an offensive back?
No. I don't know why they would put me in, again, the worst position you could give me. But there was other things, I wish I maybe pursued dance, because I always loved that, or gymnastics. But I think that's so important, that figuring out what your child likes and putting them in that. And even if they're like, well, I don't want to, having that tough love to push them, because at the end of the day, it's really going to better them in the long run for that lifestyle.
Well, no pushing.
No, not push, but yeah,
You have to find what it is, right?
Yeah.
So like, for example, my son, as much as I would love to put him in soccer. He would be a soccer star. I'll watch him on the Italy team. It'll be amazing. But the reality is he's 3 years old. So I have to pay attention to how the development is, right? And the reality is that he does not understand the concept that you can't pick up the ball with your hands. You got to just use your feet. And what am I going to do? Tie his hands? No, that's not an option. But he likes to hit a ball. Well, guess what? I also love baseball. So the first sport that I'm going to put him into is going to be t-ball, because he has that eye-hand coordination to hit a ball coming at him with a stick. Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be a next Blue Jay. I don't know.
But see, but again, you're still pushing him in a different direction. Maybe it's not soccer.
I wouldn't say pushing, but I would say inviting and giving him the opportunity.
But it is still in a way pushing, because at the end of the day, you could see that he catches it, but you could have done nothing about it. You know what I mean? You're doing something in a way that they're like, okay, you're not grasping soccer, but you know what? I can see the potential. You know, that was like my aunt with Julian, you know, put him in soccer for my granddad because, you know, he was a huge Arsenal fan, but my cousin didn't like it at all. He wanted to do football. And guess what? He was amazing. And then he hit a point in teenage years that he didn't want to do football anymore, but decided to try out for the school, I think, baseball team. But again, it was just trial and error.
Yeah. No, I think you've mentioned two things. One is a lot of people actually suggest that they wish that they weren't allowed to quit on certain sports when they were younger, right? And I think this is a common theme, and this is why some parents now might suggest either one way or the other. Let them decide for themselves. I think for developmental and consent and all the stuff, you want them to learn this kind of stuff. But at the same time, maybe sometimes they don't have that foresight into what it might be benefiting them, even if they're not necessarily the best player on the team, that they're learning the discipline, the team ethic, the work ethic, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I have a 13-year-old niece who's part of the Nitro soccer team in Toronto. And yeah, there's been some times where, you know, she's like, oh my gosh, we always practice with. Well, that's where you're learning your discipline. You can't just get onto the pitch and hope for the best. No, you got to practice. You got to learn that team work mentality. You got to learn the skill set. You got to develop the skill set. You got to learn the way of the team and how your team works together, how the players on the pitch are all going to work together at the same time. And who's here, who's there, who's the person that's always, you know, short people that run.
And what's great though about this is, even though you're talking about soccer, that's such a real world situation. Going into work, being disciplined in whatever you do, being on a team, communicating. I think, you know, sports is wonderful. Again, I wish I found something, and my mom and I just really pushed through it.